for turning up. Starkers, good to see you if you can hear me. The Hive, good to see you as always. This is probably the most solid Hive in, other than the Kitty Girl, perhaps, I know. TX Racer, good to see you, sir. And Zanti Socialist. Delighted you kept the Z there. So good to see you guys. Right, without any further ado, I'm going to just show you what Bitcoin was doing last week, and then I'll compare it to this week. So that's where she was last week, and this is where she is this week. Not bad, not a bad little performance there. Pretty solid and up 2.39%. And that 2.39% may not sound much, but as you can see, $2,250 that's up by. That's a nice figure. Trying to get that Bitcoin price back to 100 grand. That would be a nice stable point, I think, if it could get back there and hang around there, try and build in some foundations and then move vertically. Zanti Socialist, BTC, it may be, it may not be. But do you know what? I'm not going to get too cynical at this stage. We're just starting, so we'll come back to that. I fully take on board your point, and you know from what I've been putting out, I'm worried about ETFs as well. I'm worried about the general direction of all this institutional interest, as you know. But for now, there's everything to play for as far as I'm concerned. There's still a lot of good things going on in the crypto sphere. So yeah, not a bad little performance there from Bitcoin, I would say. I just hope it, as I say, can get back to that 100k mark and can hang around that to try and build to lock in some gains and build some foundations, and then we might finally start to see a significant vertical climb, because as we all know, we want it around the 115 120k mark because we want to get an alt season. Many people saying that 120k mark is an important threshold for alt season. Let's hope they're right. So, what are your thoughts on what Bitcoin's been up to?
Well, we definitely saw a pretty good drop last week, but it didn't stick around low for very long. I definitely think there's some signs of resistance being built, and I think getting past 100K, we will have to push pretty hard, but our support is definitely in the 90s, which is good. It's just a couple weeks ago, we were in the 80s.
Exactly. Yeah, it's showing some buoyancy. I would say consistency and buoyancy are the two words that have sprung to my mind with Bitcoin's performance lately. It is good to see it above the 95k mark, and as I say, even in the past week, always somewhere around the 95k mark, which I think is a strong performance in general. Where is Bitcoin going in the next week, in the next couple of weeks? Don't know. So where do you reckon it's going to be going?
Well, it's been hanging in that 90 to 100 range for a while now. I just wanted to drop a chart here that shows you about the last decade, I guess, decade and a half. We're doing pretty good, even around 94K. Just look at the recent dates that we were right around the state, and we're doing pretty darn good. So I know we're all kind of sad we're not back on 100K mark, but man, we've come a long way.
You certainly have, and it is. Do you know what? It's good to be reminded of these things, because that chart really is a great illustration of the general progress, and you cannot deny the progress that you can see in that chart. That is some serious progress with this whole altcoin, with this whole crypto malarkey in general, because this is the gateway token, and just look at that performance. That is serious progress, I would say. Good to be reminded of that, Solo. Thank you for that. It's encouraging to see where we've come from, and my word, that is one hell of a performance, generally speaking. Chiming in with what I'm going to be talking about in a moment, I'm going to be looking at Bitcoin and how a lot of like sites now offer it for loans and things like that. And the reason I'm looking at that is because there is further growing institutional interest in that area. I know there's going to be two sides to this argument. but I think there are also some positives as well. And I've been looking at so many different sites in the past week about all these loans that you can now use your stacks, your holdings as collateral for, and you can still hold on to your collateral. It's so creative how you can now actually generate whilst taking out a loan using crypto. And this is what gives me still gives me that hope, that optimism, because in the horrible conventional financial system where central banking dominates and we're all debt, we live our lives through debt, and it's all a picture of misery. Even when it comes to loans in the crypto sphere, it can actually be a pretty, I suppose, innocuous is the right word. It's harmless, not harmful. So I'm going to look at that in just a moment, and then to take a look at the wider effect of these loan services that are popping up, because I mean it's such a cleaner environment is the word I think I'm looking for. It's cleaner. So I'm going to have a look at that in just a moment. But on Bitcoin's performance in the past week, decent performance, I would say, all round very encouraging. All the basic indicators still looking good. I did actually put a poll up during the week to see when people's thoughts are on Bitcoin doing a serious rally again, to the point where we might get an alt season. Didn't get too much engagement, but there was mixed reaction from the engagement I got. Somewhat unsure, some definitely. In fact, anti-socialist didn't say we'd actually get one. He's actually not that bullish, I'm afraid. And then somebody said, I think it was you, Sono, said we wouldn't be getting one. So lots of different opinions about all of this out there. I think things are still looking pretty good. As I say, I'm comparing 2025 to 2017, not 2021, because the pandemic was still a significant part of the whole crypto scene back there, as it was indeed a significant part of the whole world. Let's be honest, it was a massive global event. So it's still massively affecting even the conventional markets and everything back then. But there we go. I think that's a pretty decent performance. Let's just have a quick look at what Hive's been up to. Actually, hasn't followed suit with Bitcoin this week. Let me just show you. So actually, Hive is down 7.5%, down to 23% than what Bitcoin has been doing. You're talking just I guess, 2 cents now. When it's this sort of level, it's kind of anything can happen really in terms of the markets with such an altcoin like Hive. I'm not reading too much into that, to be honest. Of course, it's a bit disappointing. I'm not trying to deny that, but just to show you what if you want a visual illustration compared to Bitcoin. If you just take a look at the weekly trading chart for Bitcoin, bit different, a little bit different. Again, though, you still see a peak around about May the 2nd for both, then it comes down again. But then we saw yesterday that Bitcoin rallied again. So yeah, maybe it was to do with that one, to do with that. So absolutely. We saw a little a spike yesterday with Bitcoin price, and I must admit it has sustained. So nothing too much to people get scared moving back into Bitcoin. Yeah, well, this is it, you see. So Bitcoin dominance grew. Actually, I haven't checked the dominance charts lately, but when the price drops, okay, people get back into Bitcoin. I appreciate that people, are constantly sort of, well, not constantly, but a lot of traders are flirting with altcoins, then going back to Bitcoin. You're someone who could probably shed some more light on this, Solo. Why is it that Bitcoin, like you say, people get scared, they move back into Bitcoin just because prices drop? Just tell us a bit more about that, can you? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, sure. And to answer your question, dominance is up. It's up 1.8%. We're currently at 64.4% Bitcoin dominance. So yes, I think a lot of times when we see like a big rundown on price, people are afraid their altcoins are going to drop disproportionately to their Bitcoin investment. So they'd rather just move that money into Bitcoin and take a little less of a hit, and then move back into alts once the price has gone back up and they're in profit and such.
Okay, so it's more of just a safety valve for them, really. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll move it into Bitcoin and stable coins.
Yeah, okay, well that kind of makes sense. That's fair enough. What what I um what I found interesting was just and in fact following on from that, what we're also seeing solo, and this brings me now on to what I was kind of wanted to look at, is that a lot of people, a lot of investors are now we're sort of seeing this growing investor confidence, shall we say, in borrowing using Bitcoin as collateral, and this is on the increase. And just having done my own research, I mean, other people simply say that is the obvious next step, like Bitcoin-backed loans and stuff. It's just, well, it's been happening for some time, but we're seeing a lot more of this. There is this bank called, I think it's Sapo Bank, XAPO Bank. And the CEO, Seamus Rocker, has been talking about this. He's seen tons, like a surge in this sort of activity. And um, and then it's as though you can now take Bitcoin to this next level in terms of safety, in terms of this safety net that you were talking about, Solo. You can now take it to the next level and borrow to make money. But the genius thing is, with some of these services, you're generating yield on your collateral, which is actually paying off the loan. Um, and that is what I'm talking about, a cleaner environment for borrowing money. Sometimes we have to borrow money. It's inevitable in our society, especially if you want to buy a house. And if you're not rich like me, you're going to have to borrow at some stage. Um, Crypto is is a ray of light, isn't it? Let's be honest. We all know that. But this whole thing, I mean, I've never borrowed, I've never taken out a crypto loan. I don't really want to be honest. I don't need to at this stage, but maybe I might in the future. I never know. And now there are tons and tons of these services around there, out there, that are offering these types of products, services. That it's all very, very creative. And these lending products are, I think, a way forward for so many um, investors. I don't know what, just initially before I go further on this, Solo, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, taking loans and gambling and other services on Bitcoin were probably the first things that were ever made. As soon as we had Bitcoin, people were lending Bitcoin to other people. People were using intermediaries or doing it in escrow was one way that they would get loans. And now it sounds like there's more centralized systems where you can apply through it through a service. Though I wonder if you decide not to pay that loan, how can the loan provider go after you? Because usually you have loans with banks, they have all your details, but I have a feeling you don't give them a lot of details with the crypto.
No, like I say, you've got to have your stack as collateral. So now, how I assume you lock it up somehow, yeah?
I'm guessing there's a smart contract going on there. I don't know if they do it in Bitcoin, but I guess Ethereum, maybe there's some kind of escrow you put it in where the code will release the funds if something happens.
Absolutely, it'll be something like that. But basically, what the gist is, you can use your tokens. And by the way, there are so many different tokens now that lots of these sites will accept as collateral for your loan. Let's just say you want the loan in Bitcoin or Ethereum, but you've got another altcoin. Let's just say Hive for a moment. You have to lock that up into some type of contract, like perhaps the one you just mentioned. Not sure if it's smart contracts in that way, but it may well be. I don't know. I've never taken one out. And then that's your collateral. So if you do default on payments, they'll take that. However, from locking up, from staking, you're also generating yield. And and I'm going to just focus on one in a moment. In fact, I'll do it now. Let's just bring it in. This is the one I find quite fascinating, actually, for people who may feel the need to take out a loan in crypto. There's a company called Alchemix Loans, which automatically you basically pay the loan off with the yield you generate from your deposits. Okay, and let me just put that into the chat. So it's basically, sorry, wrong one. Hang on. Sorry, there it is, Alchemix. That was the right one. Sorry, trying to do too many things at once. So this is an interesting one, I find. I mean, don't forget, you've had platforms like Binance offering loans for a long time. For example, they charge if you want to take out Bitcoin loan, they will charge 1% on that, but there's no yield with them. But you can use up to 15, I believe it's 15 types of crypto you can lock up with them. I beg your pardon, 50, wide range of supported assets with Binance. 50 cryptocurrencies can be used as collateral. So it's all integrated into the Binance ecosystem, but there's no yield on that one. But that one I've just put into the chat there, Alchemix, very interesting one. So this is what I'm talking about. I know borrowing money, no one really likes to do it. But at least there are, if you are going to be borrowing in the crypto sphere, you've got something like Alchemix that's trying to just make it a little bit more ethical. Do you know what I mean, sir?
Yeah, that's really interesting. It looks like a custodial type of service where you move your funds into one of their controlled accounts, and then they manage between you and the lender as the third party.
Yeah, I think it is absolutely something like that. There's another company out there called Compound. Um, they they do a similar, but based. It's an Ethereum based DeFi protocol actually that basically provides a platform for borrowers to borrow assets and earn interest on their deposits as well. So that's similar to Alchemix, whereas Binance not so similar. You've also got platforms like Crypto, excuse me. You've got platforms like Crypto.com that which is relatively trusted in some sense. You can take out a loan as low as $100 with Crypto.com. They accept 16 different cryptocurrencies as collateral, including USDT actually. And the thing with them though, that they've got 8% APR, which is bloody high. So they're going to be grabbing more of your money. So there's a whole host of these services out there, and like Wirex, for example, have been doing it since 2014. They support more than 25 cryptocurrencies as collateral, and you basically have a 6 month time limit to pay the loan. That's it. They won't go any further than that. They lock in all these different conditions, these platforms, and it's security for them as well. Because let's be honest, it can be a risky thing in the conventional financial system to borrow money for both lender and borrower. It can be a risky thing, but given the ingeniousness of the crypto sphere, as is the nature and the innovative nature of crypto land, we're seeing these different types of services. They're very creative, they're fairer, they're a bit more ethical. I just want to check with the Hive just to see what he says, or what his thoughts are on these lending services. The Hive, are you there?
Yeah, I think the best place to start with lending service is in mortgages. That way you hold deeds to the property and property paid off. So that's the best way to go about it.
But you've got to get property to start with, haven't you? Which can be tricky for some people.
Well, I mean, if you're giving out a loan, you have to have that finance there to give out the loan anyway. So it's kind of like having it in structure or having this thing. For like $100 and stuff like that, well, yeah, there's no point in using property for that. But in general, I think if you establish that with property market, then you can establish a thing of where if people get smaller loans from you, they can establish their credit rating within the company. That would be something they don't want to lose later on.
Okay. And what about though for people who maybe want to free up some extra capital from like a mortgage they've already got? Because don't forget, banks can be very creative that way. Is there a kind of parallel in crypto or not?
I'll put it to you this way. If you establish something where you can actually provide mortgage for people, it would happen in the manner that you already own property. Yeah. Now, if you own the property, that property you lease to somebody for a 5-year period. And if they adhere to the agreement that are put in place for that 5 years, you will give them a mortgage. And you will give them a mortgage with a 40% interest rate. That means if they borrow $100,000 from you over the agreed term of the mortgage, they would pay you back 140,000.
Okay, but I'm just trying to work out some kind of ethical alternative here in the crypto sphere.
Well,
Is that what you're outlining?
well, first off, we provided people with a cheaper mortgage than it would cost by going to the bank. So they do have more money. There's less likelihood of them falling into arrears and stuff like that. When they do fall into arrears, we are in a better position than a bank to say, okay, well, we can pause this for the period of time. Yeah, and there'll be a penalty, X, still small, but you have to impose these penalties. People don't exist.
Sure.
If they fall on hard times, we're there to say, yeah, okay, you can come to us. You still owe like a 5 years left on this. We will extend that to a 7.5-year period, giving you an extra 50% of the time. Reduce the mortgage down to this payment per month, and we just add an extra $5 a month on. Well, how does that sound? Yeah, because we're in a position to do that because we already own the property. We're not in a hurry to get our money back. So I'm not thinking on this as this is not a money making. This is where you take the investment, do the same thing again when the returns come for another person, and you keep expanding that and growing that.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. I like it. Yeah, no, that's nice. That's a nice way of doing it. But you're going to have to get to that initial strong position. But once you're there, yeah, then you can start. You could start rolling this out, couldn't you?
Well, I have one property, right? Now, if I could get investment with using this property as a guarantee from the blockchain, yeah, the blockchain would basically purchase this property, enabling me to buy a second property. Yeah. Now, if the blockchain agreed to overpay slightly for this property, you can utilize the back garden and you would buy the second property with a back garden same size as the one I have here. And then in them back gardens, you can build two small utilities that would be single person accommodation, bathroom, kitchen, living space, bedroom. So in doing that, from that initial investment from the blockchain combined with this property, you then have a turnover of about 75 to 80,000 per year to start with.
You see, I think, given that in the conventional markets and in the traditional financial system, given the dominance of the property market and how so many people use the property market to make money, and listening to what you've said, I'm sure there is indeed this cleaner alternative. I'm sure we can harness crypto in some meaningful way to make the whole concept of owning your own home a healthier and happier way of doing it. But and I know the Hive from speaking with the Hive, you're pretty big on using property as a means to generate more income and doing that within the crypto sphere. And I think it's an interesting idea, to tell you the truth. But that's great though. I like it, Hive. Thanks for that. What are we now? We're 8:33. So we're just getting over to halfway. As I said, I'm going to have to leave bang on 9 p.m. UTC today, but we're just over halfway. So I'm going to hand over to Solo, who's going to be talking to us about DApps, Hive DApps. Is that right?
Yeah, I got a few dApps that I use quite a bit, and I wanted to share them if everyone on Discord. And I'll stop dropping links in here if that works for you.
Yeah, awesome. Go for it.
All right, we're going to start with Hive Stats first. Hive Stats is a Leo platform. They track different things on the platform. I'm trying to drop a link here. So like you can see different rewards that you get either as a curator or as an author or for me as a witness. And you could also see stats on your wallet as well. So I like Hive Stats as it's just a really easy way to kind of see where you're at. And I use it every week to calculate my earnings for tax purposes. So I have a business use for it that I use it every week. I'm going to drop the link.
Do you know, Hive Stats, I don't often use that much, but I have heard there is a ton of information on there. But I do use quite a bit. And this, I get these two mixed up sometimes. Do you ever use Hive Tasks?
I've heard of it. I can't remember what it's for though.
I find that one pretty good for some basic information, especially vote power. Which is great. It's not being maintained at the moment. It used to be a real wealth of information and knowledge and data, but it's not being maintained. Yeah, that's the one, Hive Tasks. But Hive Stats probably is certainly more comprehensive from what I can see.
Yeah, Leo's put a lot of work into it. I don't use any of their other platforms, but when it comes to Hive Stats, that is something of Leo's creation that I use.
Awesome.
So the next one I want to talk about is Hive Vote. And you can use this to follow curation trails. You can set up downvote trails, and you can set up fan bases as well. And all these things let you kind of automate your voting power. And if you find yourself constantly with like 100% VP, this is a good place to kind of get your account going where you can do stuff with it without actually having to make manual changes and do everything manually. I've been using this for a very long time, Hive Vote. I don't really add people anymore these days, and I'm actually considering totally stopping auto voting. But it is a good service if you want to kind of park your HP and just let it do stuff on its own.
Oh, okay, that's interesting because I've never used Hive Vote before. And this is predominantly for people who want these auto votes set up. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's if you want to set up auto votes, that's the place to do it.
Okay, all right. I don't know if you can see Antisocial's message. Do you want to respond, or are you talking to him in chat?
Oh, I already did. I just said that's exactly why I stopped using auto votes or adding people. I noticed people will leave me nice comments for a while, and then once I add them to the auto vote, they completely disappear. So I've actually stopped doing this method, and I'm probably going to go to 100% manual curation pretty soon.
That's interesting. That's interesting because there's a lot of debate about all this auto voting, and so you found from personal experience that once you put people on your auto vote list, they don't sort of interact with you anymore. Is that what you were saying?
Some people, there's many nice, genuine people. No matter if they're on the auto vote, they're just happy to my support, and I still see them on once every couple posts or maybe once a week. But there are people I can tell they know I added them to the auto vote because now it's going to upvote them at exactly a few minutes into their post. And I just noticed their participation drops off quite a bit.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine that actually, because they've got the vote, they've got the money. That's what they're after. Bit shallow way of looking at it, obviously, disappointing in a way. But this is why you want that genuine interaction, and I guess that's probably why manual curation is a good thing, unless, of course, you know for sure that the person you are giving your automatic vote to is solid. You know they're totally reliable. You know they're good people. They're doing good things, and you don't have any issue with them whatsoever. In that situation, I guess there's no problem with auto voting, is there?
No, exactly. And a lot of people do not have time to do curation. So your other option would be to delegate your HP out to like one of many different curation groups. So this just gives you other ways of managing your upvote.
Do you know what? Another way I thought of it, because I've met so many people who've got a fair bit of stake on here, and they say they're so busy with this and so busy with that, and they've got all these auto votes and curation trails going on. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Why don't you ask someone you know, who you like, who you trust, who you respect, give them your posting key, let them go out and do manual curation. So at least you're getting a bit more of a genuine interaction. It's not just about votes, you could leave comments and stuff and things like that. That way, you are, whilst you're not doing it yourself personally, at least you've entrusted someone to go out there and keep that genuine interaction going.
I really like that idea, and that's one of the coolest things about the multi-key architecture of Hive. You can give someone your posting key, and they can't run off and drain your account and lock you out of it. You can reset your posting key at any time, and you can be back in a completely safe place. So yeah, sharing posting keys when you're not using them is technically something that you could do. I personally don't like to do it, but the way Hive is structured, you can keep yourself safe while doing that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Much. Yeah, so the next app I want to talk about is Untrending. This DApp tracks downvotes. So if you're ever curious about who's being downvoted the most and who's doing the most downvoting, this is a place you can go, and about once an hour, the list is updated, and you can see what's going on. And it's a good way to keep up with dramas. But you can also, if you want to join in on downvotes or potentially counter them, you can do that here.
Yes, you've directed me to that before, I believe. And whilst I appreciate the importance, the necessity of downvoting sometimes, looking at these statistics, I don't know what it's a bit depressing. Do you know what I mean?
I can see it to be depressing to some, but when we look at systems that do not have downvotes, they're completely dead now. So I think it's a necessary thing to have downvotes to counter abuse on the platform.
Oh, absolutely. This is what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. You need downvoting. Okay, the rules have to be enforced somehow. Take away downvoting, and you've got nothing to, unless you can come up with some kind of alternative. Don't know what that would be, but there's got to be something that enforces the rules. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Definitely, and I'm definitely a downvoter. You'll see that I am on the list, so I'm definitely someone that does downvoting as well. And I think it's something that you need. It's part of the immune system for the platform, and without it, you would have big problems that you couldn't deal with without downvote.
For sure. Absolutely.
So the next one I want to talk about is one that I've actually collaborated with the dev for. It's called HiveFind. It also goes by the name of HiveHound. And let me drop that in chat because it's a really cool DApp that allows you to filter the trending page or the hot page. And you can like look at how many types of words you want in a post or how many pictures that are in a post. You can search by date. You can search by payout amounts, and it gives you like a really fine way of aggregating your feed. And I really like this app, and I worked with I don't think I'm pronouncing his name right, Sagagarthy, but I worked with him on it, and he credited for me, said that it's inspired by me in the about section, and I was really thankful for that.
Oh, nice. That's a nice one. Haven't come across that one before. How often do you use that one?
Honestly, I need to use it a little more often. Out of all these dApps, it's probably one of the fewest I used. But if I go back to manual curation, I can see this probably be the most important DApp I would use as doing manual curation.
Fair enough. And as you said, you're going to be considering doing all manual curation soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm leaning toward that. I've been talking to some other Hive users that have done it, and they've been really successful. I just have to make sure I have enough time to be responsible and actually look at people's posts and comment and give meaningful upvotes to meaningful content.
Can I ask you, therefore, just on a personal basis for a moment, given you've got a very sizable stake in the platform and your vote value is has a fair bit of weight to it, should we say? It's a decent vote when you get a full vote from you. Can I ask you, in terms of your personal approach to voting, then I know you do a little bit of auto voting, although you're thinking of going to fully manual curating soon. You do a lot of manual curation anyway. What is are you pretty strict when it comes to this maximizing the 20% VP each day? What is your personal approach to all of that stuff?
What do you mean by maximizing the 20% VP? I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, as I understand it, I may be wrong. As I understand it, I think the vote power replenishes. You can use 20% a day, and then a day later it's replenished. You're back to 100%. Is that correct?
You can take it all the way down to 0%, but it just takes like 4 days to recharge. So I think what you mean is keeping the threshold of your voting power between like 100 and 75% is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, that's fair enough. No, absolutely. So what I'm saying is, because let's be honest, let's just say it's at 100% and you left it for a day, you've just wasted a day's worth of voting, haven't you? So what I'm asking you is, do you maximize your voting? Do you use your bandwidth each day? Yeah.
Absolutely. When I see my VP at 100%, it makes my stomach sink. So what I do is I go out to burn posts that the Marky Mark runs, and I just upvote those in a full amount. So I know the Hive is not going to be used anymore. It's hopefully going to raise the price, even though I know my little whale vote won't raise the price. But I usually burn tokens when I have excess VP.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right, so I have another DApp here. People probably will know it. It's probably one of the most famous DApps that's been around for a very long time. It's known as Hive Blocks.
Oh, I remember this. This looks familiar. I haven't used this in a long time.
Yeah, it has been around for a very long time, and sadly, it doesn't work a lot. A lot of times, you have to refresh the page, and it's not as good as it used to be. But I still go to it when I want to look at like nitty gritty details on upvotes, or if someone adds me on the witness vote, I can go in there and see that they added me as a witness, or if they remove me as a witness. So it gives me a lot of good details in a log like format that you can view.
On that note, do you not get a notification on the PeakD interface when a witness approves you? No.
No, I don't think so. Unless there's a filter that I'm not using. I usually just calculate my overall VP voted for every week, and it either goes up or down a little.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I have one more DApp to share here. It is called Hive Hub, and it actually helps me a lot with my witness specifically. I was using it before. I think you can use it to swap HBD for Hive as well. So they have like a market platform, but I use it a lot just for statistics on what's going on with my witness, as I can see the different stake amounts. I can see how many overall votes I have for different stake amounts, and it gives me a lot of finite details and some really cool graphs. But it's not just for converting HBD to Hive or back and forth, but it's also used for tracking many things. I think it's a complete block explorer.
Okay. I don't think I've used that one before. Block Explorers. So what's the main Block Explorer for Hive that you use?
Well, it used to be Hive blocks, but since half the time you try to reload it, it just says the node is not available. I've had to start using other block explorers. Osbit has his own. Then Hive blocks is a good one, and I'm sure there's a bunch of others. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, awesome. Anything else for us?
No, that's my 6 dApps I wanted to talk about today. So no, that's it. I hope y'all find them as useful as I do.
Yeah. I think that the Hive mobile app about the curation, that's fascinating. I must admit, I didn't know much about that one. Untrending is informative in some ways, depressing in others, but totally understand why we need it. Awesome stuff. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, there's the Orsbit. So he's got his own block explorer, has he? Orsbit.
Sure does. I use his tool to take my witness offline when I need to do maintenance, and I can put it back online. I think I can do that in Peak D as well, but I just usually use his tool.
Cool, cool. There is just so much data and information around on the Hive blockchain, and it's great to have these additional apps or dApps, I should say, because they do add another dimension to the whole Hive experience. There's another one, hivescan.info. Thank you for that, PH1102. Good to see you, sir. You snuck in, didn't you? But and Sakuri, reborn, blimey. What are you reborn as? Tell us later, maybe. But good to see you. Hivescan, don't know much about that one. Solo, do you know much about Hivescan?
No, I'll have to check that one out. I love that other people are dropping their dApps here in chat because there's many more than the 6 I listed. I'm sure there's like 20 or 30 that they're just out there and they're living. Some of them are dead, but a lot of them are alive and kicking.
Yeah, but this is it. If you know any that are out there and are useful to us in some way, drop them in the chat. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned, because I want to know as many of them as possible. Starkers, if you've got anything that you want to drop in the chat to direct us to either whatever you were talking about, the project you've got coming up or you're building on, or any other app that you think might be useful, drop it all in because I want to know all of them, every single one of them. That's the great thing about Hive. You've got all these people building all this stuff on Hive. It's fantastic.
It sure is. It's a sign that people take this platform very seriously. I've been a part of many altcoin projects, and Hive has the most apps, hands down. And I think that's a really good sign.
Absolutely. Do you know what? If you've got a token that has a whole community built around it with a platform that is continually building, that is going to be a solid token.
Absolutely.
Oh, hiveprojects.io. There you go. Giant list there. Oh gosh. You have to check that one out. Wow. Giant list as well. Thank you for that, TX Racer. Okay, cool. Lovely. Keep dropping them in if you've got any more.
I'm bookmarking all these.
Yeah, me too. My projects. Yeah, cool. TX Racer, come on, you're going to sort out an avatar at some stage. We've spoken about this before. TX Racer just refuses to budge on this issue of an avatar. I don't know why. He seems to like the Discord icon, which is fair enough. It's a great icon.
I think I found him on Hive once, and I don't think he has an icon on Hive either.
Oh, so he's really mysterious.
Yeah, if I remember right, I came across him like, hey, look, he's avatarless there too.
Okay, well, each to their own. Fair enough. Rightio. Where are we? Not yet. 9 o'clock over here, which I would imagine is 8 p.m. UTC. And I'm going to have to wrap this show up bang on time tonight because I am pressed for time. Apologies about that. Before I do, though, does anybody else want to come in with anything at all before we move to the after show, in which you are free to talk about whatever you wish to for as long as you wish to? In that case, I am just going to mention one more thing.
because me and Solo have been working on this for a couple of weeks now, and I did drop a little hint, I think, in the previous show. The HP delegation that we do once that we do every month is going to be changing for the better. I'll just say no more at this stage. In addition to that, we are also going to be adding a vote trail. So someone, whoever the winner is, again, it's not two separate things. The winner gets both these things, by the way, so it's not separated. So the winner of the delegation will also get a vote trail around, I think the stake Solo of the account is around 40k HP. So nice, decent upvote there. You'll be adding, which will be added to your vote. So that's the way it will work. So that's on its way as well. So just giving you a bit of a flavour there of what's to come. So that'll be an augmented monthly prize. So that's nice. That's on its way. I thought I'd drop that there. So anything you want to say on that?
Well, I'm looking forward to the change. I think it's going to benefit the Hive user that gets it the most, or gets the reward for the month. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of engagement, and we're looking forward to making another pick on the person that we saw bring a lot to the show.
Absolutely. Got a lot of great people in this community. It's very difficult to make decisions on these things because there are, a lot of people vying for the winning position. But that's good. That's the sign that we've got a very healthy, vibrant community. So yeah, looking forward to giving out the prize to the next winner, because it's going to be a different one. But anyway, that's where we're going to leave it for now. I just want to thank everybody who's turned up to the show. Good to see you guys. Thank you to Solo, my co-host. Thank you also to you for turning up. It's always good to have a backup host. Kook. Yes, you did miss most of it, Sakuri. Kook. What does that mean? Is that an exclamation of something like whoa or something? What's kook? Never heard of that, but I like it. Anyway, Keck, gonna use that again. But thank you to everybody who turned up. Thank you, Solo, to you. And oh my word, just take a look at TX Racer. Blimey, he's actually added an avatar. You better type something in the chat, TX Racer, to show it off, otherwise people aren't going to see it. Who is that? Is that him? Is that a photo of you? Is that him? TX Racer, that is you, I think, holding a big fish. Is that right? He's gone all shy. He's gone all quiet. Oh, well, he's probably sorting out another avatar. I don't know. But that looks like TX Racer. Dole having a cigarette or something there. Why not? Why not? Okay, we're going to wrap up the show, but thank you again to everybody who's turned up. And until next week, guys and girls, take care.